Good evening, 8th graders. We are here to talk about theme. We've been having some wonderful fishbowl conversations about the word sacrifice after reading our Bill T. Jones interview and watching our documentary, The White Helmets. But we need to talk about theme. So let's go ahead and get started. Our objective. Students will be able to identify the theme in a literary text. Now remember, usually when we see that word literary, that usually means there's a story involved. Our behavior objective. Students will be able to actively listen during lecture. Now remember, as I'm going through these slides, your job as an active listener is to be taking notes and posting them to Google Classroom when we are finished. All right, let's get started. So what is a theme? Theme is the life lesson, meaning, moral, or message about life or human nature in a literary work. And again, literary implies there's some type of story involved. But what does that mean? In other words, theme is what the story teaches readers. For example, think about the documentary that we watched called The White Helmets. We had some beautiful conversations about the word sacrifice. Many of you had several things to say about our closure question the other day. As we were watching the documentary, your closure question was, if you were to have a conversation with a member of the White Helmets, what might they say the word sacrifice means? Many of you said, sacrifice is risking your life to save others. Something important to keep in mind is that theme is not a word, it is a sentence. For example, sacrifice, that was our topic we were talking about. But the sentence, a sacrifice is risking your life to save others, that's a theme. Now, you don't have to always agree with the theme to identify it, but it is important that we do know how to find theme when reading any type of story. And remember, that is our objective. Students will be able to identify theme in a literary text. So let's take a look at a couple examples of theme. Sacrifice is willingness to suffer for the ones you love. Many of you said this when reading the Bill T. Jones interview. Notice that this is a sentence, and notice that we could interpret it as the lesson of that interview. Here's another one. Don't judge people based on the surface. Here again we have a complete sentence, and here we have something that we could say is a lesson learned. But what if we're still not clear as to what theme is? Let's take a look at this story. Please follow along as I read it to you out loud. Jenny Puchovier was so excited. She had a pack of Starburst in her lunch, and she had been looking forward to eating them all morning. Lunch finally came, and Jenny sat down to eat her Starbursts when her friend Yudi sat next to her. Let me get the pink ones, asked Yudi. Jenny liked the pink ones best, but she thought Yudi was funny, and Jenny wanted Yudi to like her, so Jenny gave Yudi all of her pink Starbursts. Before Jenny was done giving Yudi the pink ones, Carrie sat on the other side of Jenny. Let me get the red and the orange ones, Jenny. Remember when I gave you that Snickers? Jenny didn't remember that, though she did remember when Carrie ate a whole Snickers in front of her. But Jenny thought Carrie was cool, so she gave her the red and orange Starbursts. Now that she only had the yellow ones, Jenny wasn't so excited about eating Starbursts anymore. So let's think of some possible themes from this story. And again, remember, theme is a sentence, and it's a moral or lesson learned from a literary text. So here's a possible answer. You can't buy friends. And indeed, we could say that this was definitely a lesson learned. After all, did Jenny get any true friends from giving away all her starbursts? Unfortunately not. True friends are not earned through materialistic things. Again, here we have another sentence and something we could say was the moral or lesson learned in this story. Did Jenny learn anything by giving away her starbursts? Did she learn that that's the way you earn true friends? Unfortunately not. Poor Jenny. So let's talk about some ways that we can identify themes, because again, our objective is students will be able to identify theme in a literary text. Something to keep in mind is that themes are not explicit, meaning they're not clearly stated in the story. Themes are implied or inferred. Because they're not explicit, we have to take the information that we learn from the story and ask ourselves, what exactly is the lesson learned? Themes are bigger than the story. What does this mean? This means that themes are universal. Now, we've mentioned that themes are always a sentence and they're a lesson learned, but they have to be said in a way that anyone can understand them. And that's what we mean by themes are universal. So let's review. Theme is a sentence. Theme is what we can learn from a story. Themes must be inferred. And themes are universal. Let's do some practice. First, we'll read each story. Then I want you to write what you think the theme is in your notes. If you have extra time, write another sentence explaining what happens in the story that leads you to believe this. Now, we're going to practice one story together, and I'm going to put a timer on to give you some time to think about what the theme is. If you finish early, I'd like you to try to do step 3. Lastly, as we're reading this next story together, I want you to think of this question. How does the small world of the story connect to the universal theme? Here we go. Here's our first story. Now I'm going to read this to you out loud and I would like you to follow along. Keep in mind that your job is to identify the theme of this literary text. Keep in mind what you know about theme. Theme is a sentence, the moral or lesson learned, and it is universal. Here we go. Once there was a mean little boy who lived in a small village. This mean little boy loved to mess with people. So one day he ran up to a sheep herder and shouted, "Wolf, wolf! A wolf is attacking the town!" The sheep herder grabbed his staff and ran to defend the town, but realized he had been fooled when the boy started pointing and laughing at him. "Ha ha! I made you jump," said the boy. Then the boy ran up to a farmer and shouted, "Wolf, wolf! A wolf is attacking the town!" The farmer grabbed his pitchfork and ran to defend the town. But when the boy started pointing and laughing at him, he realized he had been tricked. As the boy went back to his family's farm, laughing about the funny trick he played, he saw a real wolf in his father's chicken coop. As the wolf ate all of his father's chickens, the boy screamed over and over again, "Wolf, wolf, please help us!" But nobody came to help him. 8th graders, at this time, I'm going to put 1 minute on the clock to give you some time to think about the theme and write it down in your notes. Okay, 8th graders, hopefully you had enough time to jot down what a possible theme was. And remember, if you need more time, you can always press pause and allow yourself some more time. So let's go over some possible answers that you may have come up with. A possible theme could be, don't play tricks on those around you. Again, notice we have a complete sentence here, and notice that this is universal. If I were to go up to somebody and say, don't play tricks on those around you. Oops, I'm sorry, 8th graders, I noticed there is a typo here. Okay. Don't play tricks on those around you. We could say that that was definitely a lesson that was learned, and it's universal. It's said in a way that anyone can understand. Be kind to those who are kind to you. Again, here we have something universal, something that's said in a way that everyone can understand. Notice we could also say that it could be the lesson learned in this story. Okay, the little boy definitely learned that by not being kind to the farmers that were around him, okay, he didn't get any help in the end. All right, 8th graders, at this time, that is our lecture for today. What I'd like you to do when you submit your Google Classroom notes, please answer the Google Classroom question for closure that's posted on the website. Make sure that you answer with a complete sentence, much like what theme is. Theme is a complete sentence, and make sure you submit it before Friday. Thank you again, guys, for being such great active listeners. If you have any questions, we can talk about it tomorrow in class. And remember, if you need some more time with this presentation, you can always go back to the beginning and take it at a little slower pace if you need to. All right, guys, I'll see you tomorrow. Have a wonderful evening.